Good evening, everyone. Let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Praise. Good evening, GD. Good evening. I guess this is Mr. Adepola. Welcome to our webinar. So we'll be starting shortly in 7:05. Let's get into it. Please let me know if you can hear me. I think we have 2 minutes left to get started. If you can hear me, you can drop a reaction. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Praise. I want to confirm you guys can hear me well enough. All right. Okay. That's my top owner.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Welcome, Oyindamola. All right. Think by 7:05 we'll be getting right into it. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to this webinar, and we are talking on the topic, make your money while you are doing your 9 to 5. So I know a lot of us, right? Some of us might have grown up in a background whereby we didn't have so much of an influence around us in terms of maybe our parents or people that could guide us through the steps on how to go about our salary or things like that, right? Most of our parents basically lived from paycheck to paycheck in a way that once they collect their salary, they pay bills, they eat, and maybe a couple of them just save their money and buy a couple of property or save their money over time, get interest in a fixed deposit, and then pass it on and all. So this topic is meant to touch on basic real estate and other forms of investments that one can go into as you do your 9 to 5. So they are not very high level form of investment. You don't really have to have so much money to go into these forms of investment. So I'll be sharing my screen shortly so that we can dive into it. All right. So please, if you can see my screen, let me get a reaction, or you can unmute yourself. Can we hear me? Can anyone see my screen? I just need a message or so that I can get on to it. So this is meant to be a 30-minute webinar. We have 10 minutes to get into it. Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. All right, thank you. So So like I said, um, a lot of us make money monthly, even for business owners, and it's basically paycheck to paycheck. And imagine you grew up in an environment or a place whereby by the time you turned 20, somebody handed you 30 million naira to start up your life. Life would have literally been easier than it is. I know we might have some rich kid here, but this webinar is just to touch based on basic things that we can actually explore when it turns to investing in small bits, right? So I'll be going into it. So the first one we'll be talking about is digital saving and investment apps. So nowadays, a lot of us do not have that patience to do long-term fixed deposits, investments, and stuff like that. We've heard of Cowrywise, we've heard of PiggyVest. We also have other banks like Optimus Banks and other form of platform whereby you can save money and they give you a percentage. Even for PiggyVest, when you deposit a certain amount of money over a long period of time, right, you get maybe about 20% of your money that you can spend while you lock the money. And what do these guys do? They basically invest it. But of course, you don't have the total amount then they'll be using to be investing and getting these returns, but you get a share out of the money that you've invested with them. So it is a form of low entry kind of investments with minimal risks because these banks are registered with the Exchange Commission that basically run the operations and follow up with these guys. So even if these companies want to close tomorrow, trust me, your money is really, really safe with them. So every investment had literally have pros and cons, right? So the advantage is that it helps you to be consistent. You get a leverage of being consistent, having a way to keep money. And there's something I always say, the first step for investing is your ability to even remove money out of the money you are making, to set aside some amount of money. You don't even really have to have so much money. It's just your ability to be able to set aside money for probably a future
What the
investment
communication is
or
still
something.
uh,
Olatomiwa, please, can you mute your mic, please?
shortlet, they are buying a shortlet for
Olatomiwa, thank you. So for the pros, like I said, financial discipline, it is an easy entry kind of in savings, right? You can start daily savings like 500, 1,000 naira, and you get your interest over time. I know that there are also offers whereby they remove it automatically from your savings, right? And this form of investment also helps you take your money in bulk to do bigger investments. So let's say, for instance, you are saving about 1,000 naira per day, right? And at the end of the year, maybe you want to buy a couple of, let's say, a plot of land, for instance. You can enter into that investment with about 50% of the money and spread the rest of your balance for over 12 months, right? And what are the cons of this investment? It is fixed. So from the agreement, they already told you that it is 12% you'll be getting, it's 12% you'll be getting. If it is 15% you're meant to get, it's 15% you'll be getting. There's no renegotiation and stuff like that. But at least it's not like it's going down. You're not getting a devaluation of what you've invested, right? And another issue would not be inflation, which like we face in Nigeria here, which is devaluation of naira. Those are the things that can also affect an investment like this one. So we're moving to the next one, which is REITs. So REIT is a real estate investment trust. I know a lot of people don't know about this, so that's why I want to touch on this form of investment. So there are companies out there. Most people do it outside the country, but we have a few of them in Nigeria. But please make your due diligence, understand the form of REITs that they are doing. Maybe are they into farming? Are they into commercial spaces? Are they into rentals of apartments? Because a REIT has to have a form of they have to have a setup on how they are making this money for you, right? And giving you this return. And REIT pays as high as 30%. So if you invest about 500K with them, or let's say 1 million naira with them for a year, you can even get your money ahead, just like the way PiggyVest does. And you get your 30%. Some goes as high as 50%. But the con for this form of investment is that you don't have a direct property. You are only buying a bit in what the company is investing in. So it's even more like you're even borrowing the company money, like all these other organization, to invest, but you are also getting a share out of it. So it is also low risk, it is safer, yes, and you are able to get dividends to at the end of the year. So if the property is literally does well, or the investment the company use your fund to do really do well, they can also share a dividend at the end of the year, right? So the next one we'll be touching on is mortgage, right? We already have a lot of companies that are reaching out to people, save your money, do this over time. Even some companies prepare a mortgage plan for their staffs, whereby they remove a certain amount of money from their salary. So this is something that you can also engage with. But the challenge that is currently in the market about mortgage in Nigeria and people that are in Nigeria as well is that some of us are not even earning enough. So imagine a property, most properties now, let's say you want to buy a 2-bedroom apartment, is selling for 95 million naira, and that's even aside other stuff you'll be adding to the building, it's selling for 95 million naira. Like, for an average salary earner in Nigeria, you can literally drop 30% of this money. But for people that falls under this form of income class, and depending on where you work, where they are able to negotiate a longer term, because for mortgage, you are able to spread your money for over 50 years. Some people even inherit mortgage debt, right? And you get to pay your money in bits. So what are the pros of buying into mortgage or putting your money into mortgage? So what mortgage is actually saying is that instead of you renting an apartment rather and paying rent, you are actually paying to the bank and you are owning that apartment or that building for life. So the pro is that it ensures that you have full ownership of that property. So for the meantime, when the process is like this, when you are buying a property as mortgage, you and the bank own that property, right? And it was until when you have completed payment, right? That's when it now fully becomes yours. So number two is that it builds personal equity over time, which also improves your own net worth, right? And it also adds to your long repayment period, so you don't have to like choke yourself to pay this money over time. But if you feel like the property you are buying into falls into your income, do your calculation well, right? And ensure that the interest, because normal another issue where people run away from mortgage is the interest, right? Okay, that's number one on my con. There's a lot of some interest goes as high as 30%. That's depending on what the rate of inflation is currently in that country. So let's say inflation is like 20%, the banks will want to put their interest as 30% on the money that you are literally paying over time. So, and it doesn't really work for people that does not have a stable income, right? So you have to have a fixed company that you're working in, or you have to do a lot of paperwork. Because I had the clients that literally want to do this, but the whole process was a lot. She just left her job So she has a certain amount of money she wants to invest into buying a project and spread it over time. So now she has quit her job and she's starting a new business. So she does not even fall into somebody that is working, and she does not have a business system that can say that she's going to be able to pay back, right? And also there's a risk of repossession. That is, if you are not able to pay on the long run, the bank can collect their property back, right? So the next thing we're going to be talking about is something I do day to day, right? So this falls into different categories. So you can actually buy properties in order to rent, which is the traditional way where people buy properties and then they put it out for rentals. You get the money yearly. It can be passed on to children. It's used to build generational wealth, right? A lot of people inherit properties, and then it makes life easier for them as well. So I feel this is also supposed to be a 95% long-term goal. How do I enter into this market? So combining mortgage to rental strategy, right? So if you can successfully get a mortgage, you can as well start earning from your property. So you can acquire a property through mortgage, put it out for rent, and start making money. So, and aside the rental income, you can also explore shortlet. Though shortlet has an higher risk in terms of maintenance, because you can have a guest that probably spoil your TV or expensive artwork in your apartment, stuff like that. It has risks like that, but still, these shortlets have shown over time and has given a lot of people a very easy and short period of buyout time, right? So you are even able to pay back for the apartment at a shorter period of time. So it is a form of apartment whereby people stay in for a day or two, or for a month at most, right? And these apartments usually give a form of home feel where people can cook, invite their guests. It's not very strict like 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 hotels, right? So another form of rental strategy that a lot of people do not know about that works in Lagos specifically, I don't know about other states, is buying into long lease. So what long lease does is that lease, like they say, is like buying a property for a specific period of years, let's say 20 years, 50 years. The property is your own, right? And then you have to return it back to the owner of the land after that. So it depends on the agreement you have with the landowner. So long leases are usually cheaper than you buying an actual property. So let's say you have 50 million naira to buy a studio apartment, let's say in Yaba. That same 15 naira for a long lease, you can use to buy 3 apartments that are studios and run a shortlet or a rental apartment. So if you are someone that does not chase capital appreciation, you are looking to get your money in bulk, you can also explore this option. This long lease can give you about 3 apartments. You make your money at once, like a business for you, right? And then the last part of this is talking about capital appreciation. So you can buy into a project, even let's say with the mortgage, or how you get your money, you bought the apartment in 10 years, 15 years, of let's say 5 years, you can resell that property that might be now selling for over 100% of the price that you bought it for, which is also a way to make your money, right? And then finally, I would say land banking. So remember when we were talking in the beginning where we talked about investing in banks like PiggyVest and all, putting aside money, right, to do bigger investments. So there are other investments too, like stock, bonds, but it needs a lot of specialty, though there are brokers in this field, but taking on topics that relates to field that I can fully explain and then touch on in order to advise your investment decision, right? So when you are able to, let's say, save your money, your PiggyVest, they give you 20% on your money. Let's say you did 500K for about 6 months, and they added your 20% on the money investment you invested, rather. That would be 600 naira. You have extra 100K. You pay it as an initial deposit for a property, and then you can spread the rest of the payment. So for land banking, how does land banking work? So land banking literally does not have stress. You just need, the stress comes in when you are buying into the property. That is when you are doing your due diligence. You will need lawyers, surveyors, you need expatriate like a consultant or a realtor, a broker, somebody that has vast knowledge about the location, the property itself, and then you key in with low amount of money. And for when you're buying land, you don't have to be worrying about facility manager or stuff. It's more like you are buying it down in order for you to appreciate, then you can resell the property, right? You can resell the property or you can build. So options you can explore under land banking. So number one rule of land banking is that you can't buy one land and say that you are doing a land banking. Of course, you can hit a jackpot, right? Let's say the property, you bought a plot and all, but imagine you have two of that property that literally blows up. And when we are talking about land banking, it's actually very much in depth, and I guess we'll be talking about it in other forms of, what's it called? We'll be talking about it in another webinar, rather. So I just want to touch base on this part. So it is for patient people, right? So you are able to wait for 10 years, 20 years. You don't have to usually wait for 20 years, but let's say 10 years on average. You can buy two plots, sell one. You can even use, if the property goes, appreciates enough as it is projected to be, right? Depending on what your broker or your consultant advise you to do, you can use the money to build the half plot. Let's say you bought two plots of land, you can sell one plot to build, or you can sell one plot to do whatever form of investment. And for people that literally has children, I have a couple of clients that, like my project that I have in Monia, Ibadan now, they know that governments are doing a lot of things in that place, but of course they will not want to live there. Even in their old age, they will not want to live there. They just bought the property in their children's name, so that when they are ready to, let's say, in the next 10 years or in the next 15 years, when their children are grown enough, they can either sell it to start up anything they want, or they can build it. And for like the one in Monia is a resort kind of estate, right? Where we are having a polo field, a polo club, and a lot of stuff. So imagine that kind of investment blowing up, becoming something like the Lakwe Lakes. It is actually a legacy that can be passed on. So for land banking, you have to buy in multiple pieces, right? So unlike other assets, land generates, it appreciates, it doesn't depreciate, right? Except in countries whereby they have natural disasters like volcano eruption, earthquake and stuff. Though we have some issues like all these Fulani headsmen in the north part, but we don't have issues like that here in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and it's like, so it doesn't bring in devaluation of the property. And finally, like I said before, it is a low maintenance form of investment, right? So for a 9 to 5, you know that this is a long-term business, right? You want to work for that company for the next 5 years. Let's say that's your plan. Take out your write down your salary, see how much you can take out for this certain amount of years, how much you want to be dedicating into savings, how much you want to put into land banking, what are your plans for mortgage, right? So make a proper schedule on what you want to do, what you want to achieve on the at the end of the day, right? And make proper planning majorly so that you can enjoy your investment or pass it on to the people that would be needing it. So this part literally talks about the land banking. Like I said, you have to be patient about it, and you also have to do your due diligence, right? So due diligence in terms of not just checking out the genuine how genuine that property is, but also to know to use your eyes to see what is going on in that environment, right? And also the company that you're buying from. A property might have very good title, and the people that owns that property would literally stress you. Some people have issues based on probably service charge. Some people have issues based on allocation and stuff. So make sure you know that any company you're working with, lawyer you're working with, even some lawyers, trust me, some lawyers are just after their own commission aside what you are paying them. So make sure when you're working with a lawyer, you can also double down, check with another person or talk to a couple of realtors and see if they're saying the same thing about these properties, right? So other things you can also do over time as a 9 to 5. Other things you can do, I think it's almost time to end this live. I think we'll have to join back soon. So other things you can also do is to start a small business, or you can also learn a skill, or add one or two skills to upskill yourself, probably for a promotion or to earn money on the side, right? So talking about small business, for real estate, there's a form of brokerage you can also explore, which is called probably referral or registering under a company, and you get commission from them. This is something you can do on the side. It's just word of mouth. You don't have to go all out into full advertisement, right? Some companies pays as high as 15% to their to people that bring in somebody. They pay 10% depending on the type of products. Though some products you get 1%, 2%, but trust me, this is a form of um business that can also help you achieve your goal over time, right? So like I said, you can start small, grow gradually, and then you diversify into things you want to do. So in terms of, let's say, bonds, commercial papers and all, you can follow Financial Jennifer online. She was also the one that introduced me to Optimus Bank, right? And their rate is actually very okay. And you can try out different forms of investments, right? Just make sure you're starting small. You are doing your own due diligence about either these banks or these real estate companies or any other form of investment you want to try out. So at this point, I don't know if you have any question. So, okay. All right. So, do you have any questions at this point before we come to the end of this live session? So I guess we've all been able to learn one or two, and I think we can call it an evening. So if you would like to know more about any form of investment, you can always reach out to me. I don't know. I think I have people from LinkedIn, people from Instagram, and people from WhatsApp. So you can send me a message to know more about these diverse forms of investment, how you can go about it. You can say, tell me, this is how much I have. This is what I think I can do, right? I'm interested in this part, or I don't have so much knowledge about this. Shed me more light. I can recommend people you can meet or professionals that you can talk to as well in order to multiply your income. So thank you so much for joining this live. Do have a wonderful evening. Let me check my chat box. All right. Good night, guys. You're welcome. All right, I want to end my